Hey guys, today I want to talk about kind of like what you need to get through recovery, not like very technical or detailed, more like the mindset because ED and ED recovery both are really not nice times to be honest. Like people often romanticize EDs and they romanticize ED recovery, which is something I will never understand because it's really just a shitty time. And I don't want to lie about it. Like, yes, there were parts of my ED recovery that were great, like being able to love again and just really feel this happiness. Of course, that was great, and I felt so much better than in my ED. But I had so many issues regarding body image that often I was still really at a low point. And now most of the time I'm just very happy and I don't know, like satisfied. I'm like this old happy man. I don't know, like these grandparents that are just genuinely happy even though like nothing great happens. They're just like happy with their lives. And that's me. But of course, it's not always like that, especially if you are a woman with a hormonal cycle and like some problems with guys or whatever. So last weekend, I was feeling shitty, and it had been a long time since I was feeling like that, and I was shook. But then I was kind of getting a flashback that that was the way I was feeling during my whole ED and my whole ED recovery. So I was like, shit, I'm really lucky to feel now this way. And so when you're recovering, you have to see the absolute light at the end of the tunnel, otherwise, you don't get through it. This is, I also think, why so many people fail with recovery because it is so difficult putting on weight in a society that is so focused on promoting skinniness. It really is very, very difficult. And so, what I always had to say to myself was, in the end, you have to trust your body. And I don't want to end up like some of my family members that are constantly worrying about their weight. Like their weight is completely normal, but they're so scared of gaining weight that like that's their constant. And I don't know, they're always saying, oh, okay, if you go out for dinner, then I'm gonna make sure to go on a walk before and blah 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 blah. And I never wanted to be like that. But I was even worse than them because my ED made me do much more extreme things, obviously. So my goal for some time, my goal was body neutrality, but to be honest, that was a little bit of a high set goal because it's very difficult for me to achieve body neutrality. I'm, to be honest, way too focused on what I look. I still place a lot of value in what I look like. Oftentimes, I feel really good because I look good, and I don't know. That's just how it is. I could change it, but right now it doesn't bother me. So I'm not like constantly, not my whole mood is dependent on the way I look. So that's why I don't think it's necessary for me to change. However, in my ED and in my ED recovery, my mood depended exactly on the way I looked and the way I ate. And if that didn't fit what I wanted, what my ED wanted, it didn't work out. So in my recovery, I constantly had to tell myself, like, girl, this is not an easy time, but you are like this is the thing that takes most strength. And I was also constantly worrying about what people thought. And then I had to tell myself, like, yes, to people it might look like you're just someone who has no control over what she eats. But you yourself know that eating so much and whatever you want is actually what takes the most strength for me. Like for me it was most difficult to eat really as much as I wanted and huge amounts. So I was doing the most difficult thing for me and I was getting out of my comfort zone. So I had to constantly reassure myself that I was doing the thing that was good for me despite what everyone else might have thought, and that my looks didn't matter. I had to reassure myself the whole time. I watched so many videos about recovery. That's also why I'm making them, because I know maybe I'm not like talking the absolute truth, But hearing from people that have been through recovery and that know that it feels very shitty, but they can reassure you that at the end it's gonna be so worth it, it really helped me. So I'm trying to do that on YouTube. But yeah, in the end, you really have to see why you want to do it, and your priority should be your happiness, because I can tell you I've never felt happier than I do right now. And this is because I kind of freed myself from these beliefs of skinniness equals happiness, or that only veggies and protein is healthy and stuff like that. I just really set myself free from these kind of weird rules. And yeah, I think this whole recovery thing also helped me in so many other areas, because whenever something weird is up, something that would usually make me nervous, I'm like, you know what, girl, you went through whole ass recovery without any help. I didn't even tell anyone. Um, and honestly, I've never felt as much as anxiety as showing up to people with my now bigger body. Now it's smaller again, but you know. So I always think to myself, like, you know what? Recovery was the hardest thing you've ever done in your life, and you will never ever have such a hard time again. I just know it. I know that this is never gonna be as bad as during recovery or during my ED. So then I'm like really chill. Today I had this exam, as I said, and it was an oral exam, and I was not really nervous. I was so shook at myself for not being nervous, because I used, especially during my ED when I was malnourished, I used to be nervous about everything. We had these weekly meetings, and I was so nervous because I was scared that I would do like a little thing wrong or something. Really stupid ass things that just, I don't know. It just, recovery is very, very difficult, but you always have to see it as a challenge and as something that you will, your whole life, you will be so proud, and you will know that even though nobody else around you really knows how it feels, but you will know that recovery was the most difficult thing you have ever done, and also the most rewarding. And nobody, like, it gives you so much strength and also so much confidence, because you realize how really strong you are. I don't know if I'm exaggerating, but for me, and I mean, I had kind of an easy life, but also I did a lot of things where people always gave me a lot of praise for it. Like, I attended, in my country there's like different levels of high schools, and I was at the most difficult one, which is not a place that a lot of people get in. You have to do an entrance exam, and I did that all on my own. I was always very independent. I never made anything difficult. Like, I passed my driver's license on the first try. Everything, I always organized everything for myself. I always passed everything, and people always congratulated me on being so independent and just doing everything the way it's supposed to be and stuff like that. So it's not like I am a weak person, but despite everything, or also like getting over the divorce of my parents, stuff like that, it was all difficult, yes, and it hurt me a lot. But recovery was really the one thing that I know, I'm so sure nothing will ever be as crazy as that, because it was like, I don't know, it started in 2018, and in 2021 I recovered. So it was only 3 years, but it was really the craziest time for me. And yeah, so I don't know, in the end I can just tell you that recovery is shitty. It doesn't feel good. But remember that life is very long, and 2 years of shitty recovery are so worth it. Really, so, so worth it. Or 1 year, or however long it takes you. I'm sure it will be like half a year to a year that it really doesn't feel that great. But then you're already gonna feel the effects of a successful recovery. And really, I believe in you, and it's so worth it. I'm gonna say it again and again, but it really is.